So I want to talk about the first concert I ever went to, like on my own, like with friends. And it was a Hollywood Undead concert. And I was 13 years old. So if you haven't heard of Hollywood Undead, it's a very like raunchy, kind of like, I don't know, like rap group of like white guys. It's not quite rap, but it's like kind of rap-y. And it's very raunchy. And so I'm just sitting here thinking again about, because like God has put me around people who are like not my age. They've put me around people who are older, but they're technically like younger soul-wise. And so the innocence of their lives is just so, that's why this is going to be like so hard for them. Because God's been prepping and preparing us. He's like, that's why you went the path you did, because you kind of had to like wake up and like age kind of fastly. Like he's like, you had to like get used to, because like I don't know how to describe this concept to people, like how us millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, even Gen X, we all had like different experiences, just like in the culture that we existed in alone compared to our grandparents, compared to our parents, which is why they cannot relate to us no matter how hard they try, unless they themselves had similar experiences. Because there are some, people who are older out there who had like similar experiences, but still, it was just a different culture. It was a different time. And God did that on purpose, because we had to like wake up and like kind of see the cracks of society like early. Like obviously now I listen to those songs and I'm like, my grandpa would die if he knew that that's like what I was doing at 13 years old, that kind of stuff. But it was just part of the culture. It was just part of the culture that we were in. Like it was just cool to like listen to that stuff. And it was just like, we were already in an over hypersexualized reality by the time I was 13 compared to like my grandparents' time and even my parents' time. And theirs was even a little bit more my parents' time. So like it's hard to explain. Like all God keeps showing me is like how difficult this is going to be for people. This is gonna be hard. This, not us though, not us who've already been awake and like on this shit. It's been hard. We did our hard part first. Now they're telling me it's gonna be here we go. We're gonna learn about the law of polarity. Now it's gonna be hard for people that this life has been easy for. In certain ways, they're going to lift a lot of burdens off of us. Like, again, our bodies, we're not going to ever have to worry about if somebody gets cancer and dies from cancer again. We're never going to have to worry about getting sick again. We're never going to have to worry about getting injured. We're never going to have to worry about certain things that we now worry about all the time. But we just have to live and exist and get all to the same reality of like the corruption in this society, the lies in this society, the multitude of issues that influence people and cause the neural pathways that it has. We all have to come to the realization that we've been in hell. Like, there is so much. And that's why God's had me here, because he's had me completely isolated from anybody my age, basically, except for like people online. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. It's so I could experience the worst hell I could possibly experience, because this is hell on earth for me, being around people who aren't my age and like with shit, like this is the first time in my life that I've ever been isolated, and it's like the most advanced that I could possibly be. So it's like this polarity again that I'm experiencing, and it's to learn and to collect data. Basically, it's so I can observe them and I can always remember like where their neural pathways were at, because I've been around it for now. Like, it's just ingraining this into my brain, and there's a purpose for that, because like there is going to come a time where I'm going to have to be sensitive towards these people. And that's if you're a new earth leader at all. Like, if you're around people who are kind of like asleep, but you're like awake, it's so you can like have empathy for them later on, because they're really going to need it. Because like this is going to get hard for them. Like, that's just like what I keep thinking about, is how difficult this is going to be for them. They are not prepared. They are not mentally prepared. They are not mentally ready for this. Now, they have all this subconscious seeding, right? None of this is in their conscious awareness yet. Like, the corruption of the government is starting to seed into their, their neural pathways and things like that. But That's like it. They think like everything else is like fine and dandy and this like society is great and it's lovely and fine. And that's because that's their soul age. They just couldn't take it. They couldn't take it. They would collapse and all sorts of stuff. So God's going to explain that to us someday too, like how he designed this and all that. But yeah, it's just so interesting kind of like the upbringing that I had. You know, like I've been living this double life for so long and I just like didn't even realize it, right? Like a lot of us just have existed in different realities than our parents. And that's like so hard to do. It's so hard. And like that's what God is saying is like this is like the worst part of Earth School you could possibly come to. Like it's the most you can learn from. It's the most like concentrated time of learning, basically, is what he's saying. Like you learn over time. But when we're in this descension situation, you know, when we're in this transition, it's the most time, like, it's like so much. It's like so, I don't know how to say, it's like nourishing for our souls and our minds and our hearts to, unfortunately, go through a lot of distortion, but then be restored. You know, that's why God left that in the Bible. You know, he's going to restore the treasures of the earth to people, and he's going to restore all that is lost. He takes and he gives, and he takes and he gives, and he takes and he gives, and now he's just going to be giving, because he's taken so much from us. He's stolen, like, not just our lives, guys, but he's stolen their lives, too. But they don't realize it. That's the issue. Like, we're on this timeline of, like, hey, you totally fucked our lives up, God. He's fucked up their lives, their whole lives. So that's why it's going to be hard. That's why it's going to take so long for them to come to this realization. Because they also are going to come to the awareness that they existed like this whole time and they didn't have to. They didn't have to exist like this if people just were good people and honest and all this stuff. And like my grandpa does come from a generation where he really believed that people were like honest and true. Like it was a little bit more like that back then, where people like stuck to their word or like did shit like that, right? Now it's just like dog eat dog. Like it's totally survival central, right? We're in the cutthroat of it. Back then it wasn't as cutthroat. It still existed, but it just like wasn't as cutthroat. And like people, or I just think people were able to like pretend more, mask and things like that. So it is just going to be a hard time for these younger souls. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that is their karma. Is like coming, like there's like part of their karma is coming to the realization of like what reality we've actually been existing in and what exactly has happened. And my grandparents like traveled all over the United States. Like they had like a really nice life. My grandpa retired like super early, like all this crazy shit, and they were able to go see all the national parks and travel to Europe and do all this like amazing stuff that everybody should have the right to do, right? And they're going to realize that their lives could have been even better than that. Like, because everybody's going to get retirement now and everybody's going to get all this stuff. And like, it's going to be so much better. And then we're going to have this jealousy for them because they're going to be going through this awakening and they get to like do all this fun stuff. Like they get to like take D-rugs and go to raves and do all this shit. And I'm already over that, you know, like I already experienced that shit. So I don't feel like I have a desire, you know, like I'll participate in things like that. But it's just like, it's different when you're experiencing it for the first time. Like the first time ever going to a rave or ever doing any of that stuff, taking D-rugs, was so magical. It's like this magical experience, but I had to do that within hell. They're going to now get to do that while in heaven. So, you know, I'm going to have a little bit of jealousy of like, oh, well, I wish I could have like the first time I ever took Schmolly was at like this concert about Jesus, you know, and some shit like that. So we're going to have like but you know, so God's gonna like reverse the roles on us of like how it feels for them to like look at us in jealousy, because they think our lives are so much easier because we have all this advanced technology, but it's like that our lives are 10 times harder because of how corrupt this society is, and it's the corruption that they're ignoring. So like once corruption is out, like everything, we're all gonna come to the same reality. So, but it is gonna be hard for them. It's going to be fun and we're going to have fun, but it's also going to be very difficult and very hard, just like it was for us. Like my spiritual awakening path was like fun, but it also was extremely difficult. So we're going to learn about the law of polarity. God keeps telling me, and that is God. God is everything. He's light and dark. So we're experiencing God in human form. I don't know, like, again, how to explain that.